excited that you're joining us for Good Friday service tonight. How awesome is it that we get to come back to the place where it all started, where our beliefs started, the prophecy fulfilled, Jesus going to the cross, preparing a way for his resurrection. And that's what we celebrate tonight. Not because it was good for him, but because ultimately it's great for us. And just want to encourage you, as you're watching this service, to like, love, share, comment. We'd love to hear from you. We would just love to connect with you. We would just love to bask in his presence tonight for Good Friday. As we go into this song, Waymaker, it's like I was saying, we got to remember that Jesus was the Waymaker. He bridged the gap between us and the Father for us to be able to have a relationship with him. And that's why we worship him tonight. don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. Whoa, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Whoa, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
I just encourage you, this is so good, that message tonight. You know, that's what Good Friday is all about. That Jesus made a way where there seemed to be no way. That God is the promise keeper. A promise, like Joe said, that was foretold so many years before it ever happened. Promise after promise, prophecy after prophecy. And today we celebrate Jesus going to the cross just like it was written about. What a historical moment that he came, that he laid down his life for us, that he became sin who knew no sin. The way maker. He made a way that seemed impossible. He bridged the gap between broken humanity, between sinful humanity and a holy, holy God, the creator of everything we see. And this is why we worship him tonight. God, we thank you so much for your goodness. We thank you for your faithfulness. God, we thank you for being the way maker, the promise keeper, the light in our darkness. God, that you redeemed us, that you poured out your goodness, and you still pour it out today, your love, your forgiveness, your mercy. We say thank you tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
We're going to enter into a time of communion here in just a couple of minutes. And so if you're at home, which everybody that's watching is, or you're in your car, I guess, get some juice, get some wine, get some bread, and if you could, start preparing for the communion. I do want to say this about that song, though. The reason why that song is so powerful is that we've seen the miracle worker in our lives. If you've been a Christian for any length of time, you've seen his miracle working power in your life. You've seen his miracle working power in others' lives. You've seen him make a way where sometimes there seems to be no way. Sometimes we're right in the middle of a situation. We think there's no way out. And sometimes we're there for way longer than we want to be. But he always makes a way out because he is that promise keeper. He is the light in the darkness. It just is who he is. What I want to do is, as you guys are preparing for communion, I'm going to read a verse and then we're going to watch a short video. But it's Luke chapter 22. Just when the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table. And he said to them, I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. He eagerly desired. And we're going to watch a video in a minute. And Jesus knew exactly what he was getting himself into. And I almost imagine as like a cut scene during the Last Supper, I almost imagine that he was envisioning what you're about to see. Now I am going to warn you, what you're about to see is from Passion of the Christ, and if you've not seen it, it is a rated R movie for the violence and gore because of what Jesus withstood. So I would encourage you, if you can, to watch it. There may be some moments where you're not going to be able to. But as we prepare for our communion supper together on this Good Friday, we need to recognize what it's all about. Go ahead and play the video.
Quale?
Nimm es doch
Tibi
parvo!
benesse! Gusta! Gusta!
Quid faci?
Schifamento la magna!
Septum! Otto! Nunc fortius! Nomen!
Dari بيتنا بمقام هيخان تديتش سيبليك
Sedeci!
It's a very, very sobering scene. And actually, that scene is way longer. I just couldn't. I mean, it's graphic, right? I cut a lot out of it for tonight. It's just a little bit of what he went through. Let me read from Mark 14, and then we're going to take communion together. They're reclining at the table, eating the Passover meal, and Jesus tells them that one of the 12 is going to betray him. And they all go around the room saying, it wouldn't be me, it's not me, it couldn't be me. And this is the scene. This is setting it up. One of them is going to betray him, and then verse 22 is, while they were eating, Jesus then took the bread, and he had given thanks, and he broke it, and he gave it to his disciples, saying, take it. This is my body. I'm sorry.
Hey, Pastor Faith.
He took a cup. When he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. He said, this is the blood of my covenant, which is poured out for many. And at that moment, he's describing that he is the bread of life, that he is his blood is the blood of the new covenant. They realized that they were gathered together for the Passover meal, and that Jesus is saying that he is the Passover sacrificial lamb. He is the reason for the Passover. He is declaring himself Messiah at this moment, as if he didn't already say it. He's even further further committing to Him being the Messiah. This is the blood of my covenant, which is poured out for many. And He said to them, truly I tell you, I will not drink again from the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God. We're going to sing a song here in a minute, but if we could take the bread together and spread out all over this city or wherever you're at, even in the country, if we could just break bread together as one body, even though we are in separate places tonight. Break the bread as His body was broken for you. Let's take this together. And juice, or the wine that represents the blood of the new covenant. We just take this together and rejoice at what He did to pay the price for the covenant that we now rest in, the covenant of grace, the covenant of mercy, the covenant that takes our sins and washes them away, that throws them as far as the east is from the west. Let's take this together. We're going to sing this song together, Another in the Fire. This is a song that you just saw, and you're going to see some more scenes, but you just saw what He was willing to do for you. No matter what you've been through, I guarantee you haven't been through that. He is in it with you. He did that for you. He did it because of His great love for you. Now we can rejoice that we have another in the fire when we go through. We have another that's in the waters when we need it. We have another that's in the prison when we feel like the prison walls have caved in. Let's sing this together. There's a crease when the heart is under fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. When I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I'll never be alone. There's another in the fire standing next to me. There's another in the waters holding back the sea. Should I ever be reminded how I've been set free? There's a cross that bears the burden. Another died for me. There's another in the fire. All my death doesn't dead beneath the waters.
That's right.
I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. Should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning? Either way, I'm bound to the things of this world.
I know.
I know I will never be alone. In the fire, standing next to me. There's another in the water, holding back the sea. Should I
another in the fire, standing next to me. Be another in the waters, holding back the sea. Should I ever need reminding? Could you bend to me? Got the joy from every battle. Know that's where you'll be.
I'll count the joy.
Got the joy from every battle. Know that's where you'll be. Got the joy from every battle. Know that's where you'll be. Got the joy from every battle.
I know. Just worship him tonight. Just give him praise. Oh, count the joy can never die.
Mark 14:26. We follow just what we did. It says, when they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. And then Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Listen to what he says. He said, you will all fall away. Could you imagine they're at the table? He says, I've waited for this moment to suffer for you. They took the communion, the Passover meal, the communion together. They sung a hymn. They go to the Mount of Olives, and Jesus knows what's going to happen. He said, you're all going to fall away. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. And Peter declared, even if all fall away, I will not. Truly I tell you, Jesus answered, today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the others said the same thing. He almost read over, he almost didn't even pay attention that Jesus said, before the rooster crows twice, you're going to disown me 3 times. Then they go to Gethsemane. They went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to the disciples, sit here while I pray. He took Peter and James and John along with him. He began to be deeply distressed and troubled. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Have you ever imagined Jesus saying these words? Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever wondered, how could Jesus ever understand what I'm going through? How could anyone understand? Well, Jesus said, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. And then he told those closest to him, stay here and watch. Just take a look at this next scene real quick with me.
Papa, kuulet kehu. Enkehel. Kastige edemni. Aken lakisfar. Lehu edi lakisfar.
Man back. Man out.
Liven mig, Elohim. Be'etzach. Chayim. Zveni Adonai. תלחק ממני. שלח לך ועמיתך. המה ימהוכוני. אלוהי, אל תרחק ממני.
Going on in Mark 14, verse 35. Going a little further, he fell to the ground, and we just saw this. He prayed, if it's possible, the hour might pass from me. He said, Abba, Father. It's a term of endearment. It's like, Daddy. Everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me. You ever had a kid that's hurt? Just raises his hands up and, Daddy, do something. Stop the bleeding, stop the pain, stop the hurt. Daddy, I know everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me. We even read in other places that he sweated great drops of blood because of the stress that was on him at this moment. Yet not that I will, but what you will, Jesus said. And he goes back to the disciples, and guess what? They're sleeping. He says, can't you even pray with me 1 hour? And he goes and he prays, and he comes back, and the disciples are sleeping. And he wakes them up again. And then he goes back and he prays some more, and they don't get it. He comes back and they're sleeping a third time. It says this in verse 41. Returning the third time, he said, are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. The hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. And they look up, and they see Judas and the temple guards coming. And then they see Judas walk up and betray the master with a kiss. Judas said, this is how you're going to know who the Messiah is, the one that you're going to arrest, is I'm going to walk up and kiss him. Could you imagine? The one that was betraying Jesus. Have you ever had someone betray you? Maybe not with a literal kiss, but it felt that way. Jesus experienced all these emotions and all this betrayal. And then I love this part of the story. I mean, I don't love it, but I love the fact that Mark is writing down the words of Peter. And Peter's describing all the events. This is about 30 years after the resurrection, was Peter is telling Mark. And Mark's writing this book just to other believers because they've got to know he wasn't writing the Bible. He was writing a letter, a story from Peter of what really literally happened. I think Jesus starts to tell Mark some things, and Mark stops and he puts his pen down. He says, Jesus, are you sure you want to record this? Because other people are going to write it. He said, no, I want you to write it down because this is what happened. And he says in verse 50, then everyone, Peter himself included, deserted him and fled. Everyone deserted him. Everyone fled. There was nobody left. Then everyone deserted him. Everyone fled. Then check this out. And I love this too. I think Mark kind of interjects his own thing. He says, if you're gonna open up your part, your story, I want to open up my part of the story. And we all know that Mark wasn't a disciple, but he was probably there at that moment hiding in some bushes, because he writes this about a little one that was present that was probably him. Then a young man wearing nothing but a linen garment was following Jesus. And when they seized him, he fled too, naked, leaving his garment behind. He was so afraid of what was going on that his garment fell and he didn't care. He just ran home naked. Who else would know that but Mark? In verse 53, they took Jesus to the high priest, and all the chief priests and elders and teachers of the law came together. And then listen. Peter followed him at a distance right into the courtyard of the high priest. He was there close enough to hear and see everything that was going on, but he didn't want to associate himself with Jesus. So he stood at a distance. And then he said something that is unthinkable. Jesus remained silent when a bunch of accusations were coming at him from all different angles. They were trying to accuse him. Listen to what Jesus says. Jesus remained silent in verse 61 and gave no answer. Again, the high priest asked him, "Are you the Messiah?" And listen to what Jesus says. It's unthinkable for anyone to hear these words at that point in time in history. The son of the Blessed One? Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One? Jesus said, "I am." The only one that's allowed to say "I am" is God. And he's saying in front of all of them, "I am the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One." And you will see the Son of Man sitting. He goes on further. He just digs it in. You will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven. The high priests, they tore their clothes. "Why do we need any more witnesses?" they asked. "You have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" They all condemned him worthy of death. It was at this moment they knew there's nothing we can do but kill him. They blindfolded him, they spat at him, they struck him with their fists, they mocked him, just like Jesus said would happen. We read this 3 other times in Mark. He told them exactly what was going to happen, and now it's happening. What was Peter thinking? Off in the distance, in the courtyard, watching everything. Messiah? How could they beat the Messiah like that? How could they kill the Messiah? And it was at this time, a little servant girl, a little teenage servant girl, accused Peter of knowing Jesus. So I don't know him. He's the outspoken one. He's the one that would never deny Jesus, remember? Well, he denied him. And I love that Peter is the one dictating this letter to Mark, because listen to the details. Listen to the honesty that he tells Mark to write down. He began to call down curses. This is Peter saying this about himself, and Mark's writing it down. Peter began to call down curses. He swore to them, "I don't know the blankety-blank man you're talking about." That's how far he went. And immediately the rooster crowed a second time. And then Peter remembered the word of Jesus had spoken to him. "Before the rooster crows twice, you will disown me 3 times. Luke actually, if you read the Gospel of Luke, he actually tells us that at that exact moment, Jesus' eyes and Peter's eyes locked. Jesus looked right at him the 3rd time he denied him. Could you imagine that moment? Listen to what it says in verse 72. And he broke down and wept. What else could you do? Then in Mark 15, they take him before Pilate. And Pilate tries to give Jesus an out. And he sends him away to Herod. And Herod sends him back. And actually, Pilate at one time says, "You know I could release you." And Jesus said, "I'm the one who gives you authority. It's only by the authority that I give you that you can hold me here. I could walk away if I wanted to." That's how much power and authority Jesus had. And he said, "You know what? It's my time. It's my time. I've made this decision to die for humanity." And we watched the video earlier of his beating. We saw in that video how they mocked him. Listen to this in verse 18. They began to call out, "Hail, King of the Jews." And again, they struck him on the head with a staff, and they spit on him. And falling on their knees, they paid homage to him, mocking him even more. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe that they put on him, and they put on his own clothes, and they led him out to crucify him. And Jesus then had to carry his own cross, and a man was forced to help him. But take a look at this scene on Golgotha. They're raising Jesus up. Watch this with me.
Erigite crucem! Crucite! Crucite! Flexe! Nestus lobos! Plantate eam!
Kabilule wa okulu. Tenau kishmi. Dilukomi hiv.
There's so much about that scene that gets me. One of the things that's almost unimaginable to me is just watching Jesus' mother. Is all that is happening to him. She's there, she's present, she can't leave. She loves her son, and she's known since the time he was a baby. Since the time when he was born, and they wrapped him in the burial clothes, is what they actually wrapped him with in the manger. He was wrapped in burial clothes from the moment he was alive.